Good evening and welcome to Netzach Yisrael's daily Kitzur Shulchan Aruch Shir. Today we're continuing with Siman Samach Hilchos Ribis, the halachos to do with interest. Continuing from Seif Kaf 25. Ove Kachavim She'amal Yisrael. If a non-Jewish person said to a Jew, Levei bishvili ma'os beribis mi Yisrael al mashkanza, borrow for me some money at interest from another Jewish person using this security. Or even if he doesn't give him a security, but instead gives him a promissory note, a note of indebtedness. And the lender relies for himself only on this security or on this promissory note from the non-Jew. But there is no responsibility at all on the Jewish messenger. Mutar, then this is permitted to receive interest from the goy. And even if the Jew who is the messenger brings the interest back to the Jewish lender, mutar lekabla, he is permitted to take it from him. Only, however, the lender has to completely be determined that all responsibility, both for the whatever it is that's acting as the security and the money itself, whether it's going to the borrower or whether it's coming back to him, the lender, everything has to be his responsibility. And that there is absolutely no responsibility at all on the Jewish messenger. So essentially, it's a Jewish person lending to a goy with a Jewish messenger acting as a go-between, but nothing else. Siv Kavvav, V'chein Yisrael shenosan mashkan al shtachav Yisrael chavera. And similarly, if a Jewish person gave something to act as a security or a promissory note to another Jewish person, and asked him to go and borrow on his behalf for some money at interest from a non-Jewish person, then then if the non-Jewish person only relies on the security or on the document, and again there's no responsibility at all on the Jewish messenger, then mutar, that's permitted. Similarly, if a Jewish person loans money to another Jew against the security, and in this case it would be without interest because it's a Jew loaning directly to another Jew, and afterwards the borrower says to the lender, borrow some money from this non-Jew at interest against the security, and then it's upon me to pay the principal and the interest back directly to this non-Jew, so circumventing the original lender and going to another lender who is non-Jewish. Then if the non-Jewish person is willing to completely to only rely on the security and not on the intermediary lender, then mutar, then it's permitted, because then again it is just a Jewish person borrowing essentially from a non-Jewish person, so there's no problem with interest. Sif Kaf Zayin. Yisrael shehilva la'obei kachavim al mashkam beribis kach b'kach lechodesh. So if a Jewish person lends money to a non-Jew against a security with a certain amount of interest every month. And then afterwards, this Jewish person goes to another Jewish person and asks him to lend him some money against this security that he has from the non-Jew. And that he, the second lender, should take the interest that's being paid by the non-Jew from the day that the loan begins until the due date. Then mutar, this is permitted. However, if the first Jew has already combined the principal sum and the interest into one sum, l'chol zman ha'ava, which is payable after the whole time of the loan, then hare hakol hi kekeren shel Yisrael. Then it's all considered as principal coming from a Jew when it's being borrowed from the second Jew. But also lilval samashkan zeh mi Yisrael chaveiro baribis, and so it's forbidden to borrow against this security from his Jewish friend with interest. Because it's as if the first Jew gave the second Jew interest from his own pocket. So this is the very definition of ribis, that he's giving ribis directly from one Jew to another. Sif kapches ma'alsof shel Yisrael mufkados biyad avei kachavim. If money belonging to a Jew is deposited with a non-Jew, v'hilva al someone Yisrael beribis, and then the non-Jew loans it to a Jew with interest. Im hayu ba'achroyos ha'avei kachavim she'im yovad hachov yischayev hu l'shalem b'ma'asav. Then if it's the responsibility of the non-Jew, such that if the debt, so the money that was originally borrowed from the Jew, the money that was originally deposited by the Jew is lost, then the non-Jew would have to would be liable to repay it from his own money. So if that's the case, then mutar, that's permitted for the non-Jew to non-Jew to lend it out to the second Jewish person at interest. But if it's not the responsibility of the non-Jewish person, so if the original Jewish person would have to pay out if the money was lost, then it's forbidden for the second Jewish person to pay ribis, to pay interest. And therefore, in a place where there are kavutzas mars, which is savings banks, financial companies, v'chadoma and similar, sheyesh liYisraelim chalokim, in which Jewish people have shares. So Jewish people have shares there. And also you have Jewish people who borrow from there with interest. Then then even if the managers are non-Jews, he said, the Kitzur says, nevertheless, it seems to me that it's completely prohibited for the Jews to borrow with interest. And therefore, it's forbidden to put money into them. In case they lend to a Jew who is not careful about the laws of ribis, he's not careful about the problem of borrowing with interest from Jews. So if you put money in and then a Jewish person who's not knowledgeable takes money out, then they'll be borrowing money at interest from you, which is an issur. Also, and similarly, it's forbidden to borrow money from there, because perhaps a Jewish person who's not careful about the problem, the issur of lending money with interest, will put money in there. And so if you borrow from there, you're borrowing money with interest. Sif kaptes. If you have partners who need to borrow money with interest from a non-Jew, they should ask a Talmid Chacham how to do this. In the case of an apostate, someone who denies the Torah, it's forbidden to borrow money from him with interest. And similarly to with regard to lending money to him with interest, one should be one should be stringent and not do it. Thank you. Good night.